So we're making good progress here. Let's continue to model this line. What I'll do, I'll click T and we'll place a T down here on the end of this pipe segment. I'm going to zoom in and let it find the end of that and drag out, and this will be my main end direction, and then if I drag down, that'll represent the branch direction. So the T goes in, and then what I want to do, I want to go ahead and get another flange and a gate valve and a flange over here. So we could just really copy this one if we wanted to, or we could construct it. And I think we'll just construct it for the practice. I'll click flange and press enter to connect it, and drag out to the right, and it'll go ahead and put in a well neck flange for me. And then I want to get a gate valve in there, so I'll scroll down and I'll find gate valve, enter to connect it, drag out to the right. And in my case, I've got hand wheels coming in. I'm going to type 90. Then I'll do another flange. And again, don't worry if you don't have the hand wheels. We can set those later. I'll click flange, enter to connect it, drag it out to the right. And one thing that might be good to talk about at this point is connectivity. Again, we want to make sure you have good connectivity, because if you don't, then the isometrics won't work correctly. You'll get all kind of errors when you try to generate the isometric drawings. And this is a good place where connectivity can go bad. If you look at here, we have a flange on a gate valve and a well neck flange, and there's a gap in between it. This is the gasket right here. If I double click this little symbol, it'll bring up data on the gasket. So if you don't see that space in there, well, then it's not working for you like it should. Sometimes you can end up with a flange pushed in on the gasket. Well, let's see if I can do that. I'm not sure if it'll let me. Let's give this a try. I'm going to go flange, and I'm going to tell it to put the face here. And then if I O-snap wrong, if I get over here and click and drag it on out, well, here Cadworx is reversing the end condition for me, which is great. But there'll be situations where you can get things jammed into other things, and gaskets won't be done properly, or elbows might overlap pipe a little bit, and then you'll just have all kind of problems. So the best thing to do if you have something going, like I have this gate valve and gasket going here, if I want to put another flange here, the best thing for me to do is hit enter and then just drag it on out, and it'll just connect right up for me. So I won't have any issues. And so you might as well make it really easy on yourself and avoid trouble later. Use enter, or you can also do spacebar if you want to. Sometimes people call that spacebar routing. But it just lets components stack correctly, one right up against the next. For instance, here's a piece of pipe I need to place. Let me click pipe, and I'll just hit enter or spacebar, and it'll connect. And I drag out to the right and type however long I want it to be. I'll say 500. And so that's going correctly, and now I'm going to do a flange on the end of this. So I'll go find a well neck flange, enter to connect it, drag it out to the right, and that goes on. Another thing to mention on flanges, if you start at the butt well side and head this way, head to the face, the system will put a gasket on for you. If you start at the face and drag the other way, you have to do your own gasket. So that's why we're seeing that sometimes, and in other cases we're not. Like up here where we first started, we didn't have a gasket on that. So it's normal. It's doing what it's supposed to do. So now we're going to put a piece of pipe on this T coming down. I'm going to click pipe, and then I have to be careful and make sure I O-snap. I want to make sure I see a yellow indicator right on the end of that purple center line. I'll click it and drag straight down, and I'm going to give it a length. In this case, it's going to be 1628, and I'll press enter. And then from here, we'll go ahead and place an elbow. I'll click elbow, enter to connect, drag straight down, drag straight over. Again, we'll do the flange, gate valve flange. I want to just type CP for copy. I'll just go ahead and copy this. Let me just window that right in there. We have what we want. We'll click on the end of that one, take it right down to the end of that one, and we have it in there correctly. Then we'll put a piece of pipe on the end of this. I'll go ahead and go pipe. And again, I have to O-snap here because it's not a stacking. I copied something down. So I click there and I'll type 414. That's the length of that pipe segment. And then from here, I'll do another flange. Enter to connect, drag it straight out. So everything's going like it should. I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button here to keep updating this drawing. Now we're going to place some nozzles. And what Cadworx uses for these are the long well neck symbol over here. If I click on that, I can notice the prompts down here, and I'm going to right click and say length, and I'll type 200 and press enter. And then if I press enter, it'll connect on the last component, and I drag to the right and click, and it goes in and puts a nozzle in for me. And this nozzle represents a nozzle on a vessel, or maybe a nozzle on a pump. but it's a way to end the line that we're constructing. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click on that and look at the data. And there's a click right down in here I can do called existing. If I click on that and say OK, it'll change the color of it and it'll change the information in the nozzle so that it knows it's existing. This represents something that's already there, that we're just fabricating a line that's going to go ahead and connect up to it. And when we run the isometric drawing for this line, the nozzle will appear dotted, but it won't come out in the bill of material. So it's just a good way to tell Cadworx that we're really connecting to something here, but it's not part of our fabrication ISO. It's not something we want to come out in our material list. I'm going to go ahead and click long well neck again up here, right click, go lengths 200. I'll let it O-snap on that gasket, and if I get on this edge of it and click and come on out, it'll work out okay for me. If I zoom in and take a good look, I can see indeed I have a space here. So you want to make sure you have a gap between the flange on the nozzle and the well neck flange that's connecting to it. And we'll double click this one again and make it existing. And we'll do the same on the other end over here. Now, one thing that's going to happen to us over here is that we have a different size, and we also don't have a gasket here. So first of all, let's set our size. I'll get up here and I'll set it to 4. Then I need to place a gasket against this flange. So there's a gasket click I can do right here, and I'll just come over here and let it O-snap right on the end of that and drag it on out. And then I'll do a long well neck for that. So I'll click there, right click, length will be 200. Enter to connect, drag it out, double click it, and make it existing. So everything's going like it should. I think what I'll do is I'll just do CP for copy and just select this. And then for an object for a base point here, I'll just click here. And then if I try to pan up, what I'll do is I'll just get pan, I'll key it in to get it going. Then I'm going to right click and just let it connect right on down to there. So if you have a pan button on your mouse that's working, that's great. If you don't, you can just type apostrophe P and that'll just do a pan for you right in the middle of anything there. So you can always do that. So good, everything's like it should here now. I think I'll just zoom on out and save the drawing, and we'll go from here.